Hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be tuning in from. Welcome to our webinar on the 5 tactics to support customers during the busy period. So, whatever the term you happen to be using, we're all talking about the same thing, the busiest period of the year. As seen from our own data, that conversations can increase 10%, 23%, even so much as 700%, depending on the industry during peak season, which is super exciting. The problem is, not all of us have fleets of service representatives or support staff to cover that massive increase. Our already occupied service teams can pretty easily be overwhelmed in handling this rapid increase in conversations. So, no matter the size of your team or the increase of conversations, we need to set strategies to achieve success during peak season. So, my name is Dominique. I am the product marketer here at Trengo. I specialize in product communications, and so that's why I'm super happy to be talking to you today about peak season strategies. I've also got my colleague Charlotte, who is our customer onboarding manager here, to assist us with answering some frequently asked questions, some of your questions rather, at the end of this presentation during our Q&A. So let's get right into it with our agenda. I'll be going over our 3-pillar strategies for addressing overwhelming workloads during the peak season, as well as delivering a little bit of advice for forecasting for 2024. And then I'm happy to hand over some materials to help you jumpstart tackling your peak season activities this year. So let's get started with how to set up multi-channel support. We've got a high volume of conversations coming in from all kinds of different channels. So you've got questions about purchases, about returns, about shipping progress, and more. But you want to answer all of them as fast as possible. Studies show that over 50% of customers can engage with up to 3 to 5 channels for one service, which can lead to a couple of issues. Number one, having one source of truth can get messy. Keeping a clear overview of conversations is kind of a losing battle, and then time is lost clicking between different tools to handle your different channels. So what's the solution? Obviously, it's a multi-channel inbox. So, combining every channel your customers come into contact with in one place ensures that you have a full overview of your conversations, no matter where they come from. Any systems you're using, like web shops or CRMs, get integrated into one location, and all customer information can get consolidated for quick viewing as you handle your questions. So let's break down exactly how you can build out multi-channel support. For one, we want to optimize the channels that we have, and we want to do this in different ways depending on the channel. For example, review all channels that get the highest engagement and then prioritize the conversations that are coming from them in your inbox for faster responses. Next, you could set up reminders for those channels that need to be getting faster responses. Now, these aren't necessarily the channels that are getting the highest engagement, but you know for a fact that they're probably the highest earners, for example, or they contain the most priority of issues, kind of like an urgent line, for example. Your live chat, which is a fantastic tool, can also be used to establish sort of like a no-go zone or an outside of business hours zone. Or you can just turn it off to buy your team some time to manage the workloads that have come in from elsewhere. On email, we can add a peak season specific information to your email signatures so that customers know what your team is dealing with and how they're handling the increased workload. You always want to meet expectations, and this is a really easy way that you can do that. You can use WhatsApp and SMS messages based on triggers that you've set up behind the scenes so that customers can get alerts on the channels that they carry around directly in their back pockets. It's the easiest way to get into contact with someone and know that they're definitely getting the messages. And then, of course, one of the most hyped channels, I think, that we can all agree on With WhatsApp, you can definitely use multiple different strategies there, such as utilizing hyperlinks or QR codes in your channel materials to funnel customers from an offline experience into an online self-service funnel. So, for instance, you could try putting a QR code onto a packing slip so that whenever customers have questions about their order, they can just give it a scan and be directed into a WhatsApp conversation with an automated self-service bot of some kind that you've set up. More on that later. In addition to optimizing your channels, we want to set up the right context for faster and better answers. So, for one, let's import as many customer details as possible so that team members can have that info on hand so that they can know exactly what they're dealing with. You can use those details then to create full customer profiles to reference and update mid-conversation. And of course, collect additional user data in custom fields such as order numbers to solve queries much more quickly. What exactly does that look like in practice? For example, every retail and e-commerce organization knows that during Black Friday, high-volume conversations will be coming in from every channel. So email, live chat, and voice, WhatsApp, whatever you've got on hand, people are going to be using it. We've got our multi-channel inbox all set up with channels and customer data in the same place. So first things first, our team looks at an overview of all messages from all channels in one inbox. Kind of obvious, but it's a huge factor. We make the decision about which channels can be prioritized over others. For instance, you might want to prioritize WhatsApp and live chat messages because customers expect to receive fast answers from those kinds of channels. I mean, chat is kind of in the name, so. After that, a conversation comes in, let's say, about an order delivery. So let's assign it to a teammate. That teammate has an overview of the customer's full profile and can check the order information right away, like the track and trace code or its delivery status. With that relevant info identified, the teammate can then take a moment to internally tag or mention the marketing team, for example, and let them know that this customer might be interested in an upcoming sale because they made this purchase. Finally, in a matter of minutes, you can answer the customer's question and close the conversation successfully. And you've also let your other teammates know that you can probably capitalize them at a later date. With all of this in mind, I'd love to hear more about how you handled the last peak season. So what were some of the tactics that you took to help out your team? Did you have a special approach when you were tackling that huge increase in customer requests? Did you stumble across a bottleneck in your process? Make sure that you give us a couple of your stories in the chat. So be sure to keep commenting on this question, but we're going to keep moving along as well. Our second strategy is making sure that team collaboration is much more efficient. So our team needs to handle a lot of questions from small to big very fast. So preferably without missing any messages or losing time consulting with one another. We all know that some of the basic tenets of good collaboration. We've got clear communication, obvious ownership of tasks, performance tracking with associated goals, and balancing our workload effectively, so on. But how can we combine all of these things into some more concrete action points? We put together a team inbox. This team inbox would hopefully have features to allow for quick collaboration between team members, different teams, different departments, vendors, partners, etc., no matter the location or the time zone. What exactly does this look like? So we've got software that supports a team inbox, obviously, with enough user seats and features to support some internal communication behind the scenes. We've got some clear ideas around a way of working that puts collaboration front and center. And maybe the curveball, but some automation features to support team collaboration and save valuable time. So let's get into it. Our first step is figuring out ways of working that ensure we never miss a message again. So what does that entail? We want to have one source of truth to reference for background and context in our conversations. This could be full customer profiles like we discussed in the multi-channel inbox section. We then want to make sure that the workload that's coming in is distributed evenly so that no one teammate is getting too many conversations at once. And we can use some basic automations to automatically sort or assign the incoming messages to get this done. We also want to get some standardized or quick replies set up, probably based on the most popular FAQs, and make sure that they're available to the entire team so they can just grab a canned reply and copy-paste it to keep the conversation rolling. And lastly, we want to manage load balancing in the platform. This is not to be confused with optimizing our workload, which is more about making sure that team members can handle the conversations that they're assigned. Here, we're thinking more how to set up limits to avoid overwhelming team members in the first place. So putting a cap on the number of conversations that they receive, for instance. In addition to optimizing our ways of working, we just want to up the speed of collaboration in general. So how can we do that? Firstly, let's make sure that we're checking previous contact moments with a given customer. What's come in from them before? What channel did it come from? All of these kinds of questions. Knowing this will make it easier for teams to see what has already been discussed and leave less room for mistakes. Next, say you need to have a conversation with a team member about the customer question, but you don't want to bother the customer in question. We can tag or mention colleagues. We can tag or mention colleagues behind the scenes and start an internal chat separate from our customer conversation without getting up from our desk, picking up the phone, or even leaving the inbox. Then, when we've got the answer, we can jump right back in with the customer. What does that look like in practice? Let's take the travel and leisure industry as an example. So these organizations often have teams that can be located all over the world, spread across different venues, countries, time zones, and departments. How could these organizations prepare for a peak season rush? Well, with the team inbox, these teams have access to one source of truth where all customer conversations are handled. Ideally, your software works on desktop and mobile so that no matter the location or the time, team members can jump right on and access what they need to access. Then we've got an overview of all incoming messages from whatever channels we've got connected to that inbox. See multi-channel inbox. Our team lead then gets started with making sure that everyone in the team is assigned the right number of conversations so that nobody gets overwhelmed with the day's work. Once our team members have their assignments, they can dive into their personally assigned messages to start responding to customers. Next, let's say that a teammate has received a question about an upcoming tour. They can reference previous contact moments alongside this most recent question and see what's already been communicated to the customer. Maybe the teammate needs a little bit of added clarification, so they tag the operations team for quick details. Let's say they need the dates of the upcoming tour, who's going to be on it, where they're going to go. These kinds of details. After a quick back and forth, they can go ahead and answer the customer question with their additional information. All of this can happen within a couple of minutes. So we can see how a team inbox can really foster better collaboration between team members and also even external teams to customer service and support. Peak season kind of demands a much more intensive collaboration process. So have you noticed a difference between the way that your team works during the off-season and during the peak season? What sort of strategies have they come up with themselves to get through the intensity? And what sort of tools or methods maybe have you introduced to better drive collaboration from the outside? would love to hear some of these answers. You can go ahead and throw them in the chat below or off to the side. I'm actually not entirely sure where your chat is, but keeping an eye on it so that we can maybe discuss some of them in the Q&A section as well. But yeah, let's see more interaction between you guys as well. I think there's a lot of opportunity to talk about this stuff, which is great. All right. Moving right along, let's jump into our third strategy, automations. It's a super exciting topic. Everyone is kind of hopping on it right now. We're not talking quite so much about AI just yet, but automations are super useful for very good reason. So let's get right into it. What is automation best for? Quite simply, cutting out repetitive and time-consuming manual tasks. So we want our teams focusing on complex matters. What do we want to see out of any automation feature that we implement? Obviously, we want to see faster replies, fewer repetitive tasks, and hopefully a much cleaner inbox. If automations can balance team workloads too, all the better. So obviously, we need to be looking for a platform that allows for automations that deliver these features that will support our teams in getting all of those things. Say we get ourselves onto one of those platforms. What do we need to do to leverage it properly? Firstly, insight into those time-consuming tasks is a great starting point. Do we actually know what's taking up most of the time for our teams? And secondly, what kinds of automation features will actually solve those tasks for us? Now, while I can't diagnose everyone's individual manual tasks, I think we have enough common denominators to jump right into automation features that could help us all out. One key automation is being able to label incoming conversations based on trigger words, phrases, email addresses, subject lines, etc., according to your own sorting methods. Maybe you want team members to jump on certain conversations right away, so being able to mark them as high priority or as a complaint, because we definitely need to address those immediately, from the get-go helps direct attention appropriately. Along the same vein, we don't want team leads burning time reading every message that comes in to know where to assign it. We can create automation rules that will automatically assess an incoming message, see if it meets certain criteria, and then assign it immediately to a particular teammate or team. No more time is going to be spent reviewing unnecessarily. Nobody's got time for that. Automation also allows you to promote a self-service option, which will divert smaller questions and tasks from reaching your team's inbox, allowing them to have the time to address the big stuff. Starting off, we can set up a chatbot to catch FAQs before they land in the inbox and answer the customer directly. This also promotes a cleaner inbox, which we love. If training a chatbot still seems a little too time-consuming in its own right, we can use a Flowbot instead to lead customers to the answers that they're hoping to get. Flowbots are essentially a pre-programmed choose-your-own-adventure kind of feature that guide customers down set paths, hence why they're so great for frequently asked questions. Based on these questions, customers can be directed to already existing resources with the answers that they need. And feeding kind of into both Flowbot and Chatbot, everyone loves a good help center, but customers sometimes bypass the articles that can actually give them the right support. So connecting your help center to your chatbot, Flowbot, or even to your live chat can push those articles front and center and help augment the support that's already being given. Automation can also be used for tackling our customer satisfaction flows and even increasing them. Ironically, without the human touch, but, time is money. For example, we can create automated follow-ups after a closed conversation. Set them up to go out 1 hour, 1 week, 1 month, however long. And make sure that you reconnect with a customer that you've already had a conversation with and ensure that they know that we want to make sure that they had a good experience and that, timeliness is a huge plus on a follow-up. Narrowing in further on that, build follow-up motions into channels that already have automations in them, like the live chat or like the Flowbot or like the chatbot. Once a conversation is closed, we can immediately provide prepared messages with, say, a review request or additional support resources, whatever makes sense for your business. Speaking of prepared messages, create a system of auto replies to inform customers about what is happening instantly so that they don't feel left out of the process. So, pretty common one, people want to know where their packages are. So if we can create an auto reply system that lets people know when something's been sent out or when something's in the delivery truck or when it's on the way to you, all the better. Customers love that and their satisfaction scores will go through the roof. Taking this into practice, we can look at the automotive industry and how organizations can create multiple automated flows to remind customers of important or routine tasks associated with their cars. For example, let's say we've got an auto repair shop and have to field a large number of questions to do with car maintenance. We can set up a Flowbot on some of our preferred channels like WhatsApp or Facebook that prompt customers to specify exactly what kind of help they need. Our Flowbot gathers some key customer details like name, email, contact details, etc. Then automatically generates a lead in our CRM system. The Flowbot conversation continues, and the customer indicates that they're maybe interested in some winter tires. That conversation will then come into the inbox flagged with a label marking it as an opportunity. Not only is this conversation flagged as an opportunity for our support team, it also gets assigned to the marketing team, presumably by some set of rules that we create. Someone from the marketing team can then have a look, identify the customer's interests in winter tires, and then add them to the winter tire flow so that the customer can receive marketing materials related to winter tires. While all of this is taking place, our winter-wary customer will receive an automated WhatsApp invitation to book an appointment for them to swap out their summer tires for their winter ones. Customer books an appointment, yay, and is now flagged in our system for an automatic reminder to swap winter tires each October. So with these strategies in mind, we can think about when we can start applying them. Peak season for 2023 is kind of right around the corner, like next month, and everything you learn in the coming months will help you forecast for what you want to do in 2024. Ultimately, we all want the best possible experience for our customers, and we want to make sure that our teams are prepared to deliver that best experience, especially with the high volumes of conversations and the number of channels that they're all coming from, no matter what they're about. I don't think I need to tell you that customer satisfaction increases in response to better service. So we need to make sure that our learnings from this year are taken into account and applied to all of our future processes, whether it's forecasting, ticket estimation, or number of needed automations. Looking at our most recent busy period is key to succeeding in the next. What goes into forecasting? At its core, forecasting is about calculations made based on acquired knowledge. That means we need data, both qualitative and quantitative, and that data will inform how we plan. So team KPIs play a big role in that. And while I'd love to dig into that, everyone's KPIs are pretty unique to their own teams. Suffice to say, set some goals that make sense. And don't be too afraid to be a little ambitious. There's no growth without risk, so go for it. Getting into the data side of things, the only way we get data is by paying attention and logging information. So knowing how to improve means that we need to know where we're falling short. These are some pretty big ticket items, but don't get too scared of them. This is pretty straightforward. Keep up with your engagement platform dashboard. Make sure you're tracking the right things. Check up with your teams when you see something odd. And definitely don't forget to praise when things are going right. A good, up-to-date dashboard can make or break your ways of working. and further down the line, your customer's experience with you. Secondly, make sure you're pushing your conversation data into a BI system so that everyone in your company has access to what's going on in your processes. Sharing is caring, and that's in triplicate when it comes to data. Making data-driven decisions is critical to growth and success. So make sure that the right people are seeing the right numbers by connecting your conversation platform to your BI system. When your data is taken care of, we can dig into the nitty-gritty details of your most recent peak season experience. In this case, we're talking about 2023, but you can start thinking about a few of those things now. Check the labels that were added most to conversations that you see coming into your system. Can you automate part of those flows? What were the most popular FAQs? Adjust your Flowbot, create auto and standardized replies based on those questions so that your team can provide information quickly. Were conversations equally distributed? Have you noticed that some of your team members are struggling with the amount coming in and some are having a little bit of an easier time? This isn't about difficulty levels, but we want to be managing everyone's time effectively. Talk with your teams to make sure that everyone is getting the conversations that they're most equipped to handle. Now, I don't want to leave you with a bunch of homework or a bunch of questions that are swimming around in your head that you then have to go and answer. Nobody likes doing that kind of thinking. So let's talk about what we can provide you to get a quick start on preparing your peak season. First off, you can check our peak season report 2023. We've dug into the research, looked at our own Trengo data from customers to see how they've handled the busy seasons. So you can dive into the expected increase in customer communication that your customer support and service teams will be dealing with. We're happy to deliver that to you in PDF form right now. We've also built you a calculator to help you determine if your current team is ready to handle the increase. You can just pop in the number of team members you've got, the current average tickets per agent per month, bit of a mouthful, but you got it. You can also make a rough estimate for this, and the expected increase in conversations as a percentage. Again, rough estimate. It's a rough calculator. And see if you're ready to go. Lastly, you can sign up for our starter kit and receive a tailored flow of emails containing all of our tips and tricks for tackling the peak season with ease. Lastly, if you're interested in a more personalized touch, you can dive into your situation with one of our Trengo experts, and we'd be super happy to help. If you're already working with Trengo and have questions, please contact your CSM or the support team. So that's it for me. We've covered a lot today, and I hope I've helped set you down the path of success for peak season. I'm going to turn you all over to Charlotte now to answer some of your questions and to pick up on some of the discussions that we were having previously in the chat. So, Charlotte can take it away.